Well, hello, everybody. I'm Del Shores.
And I'm Emerson Collins, and you're watching The Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay. Oh, hello and happy Friday, Del Shores.
It is Friday. I'm glad it's Friday. I don't know why I'm glad it's Friday. It's just like every day. It's just all these days, they're still blending for me.
Well, it's like I only know what day it is based on the fact that we have a show.
I know.
At this point, it's this show and Housewives that give me any semblance of life is happening on a specific day or not.
Is it Tuesday?
I mean, all the time. I'm just like, does anybody else have that problem? What day? It's who's he, what's it, what's my. Frankly, I'm impressed I remember my own name.
Look what I got, Emerson. Let me take your temperature now.
Is that a forehead?
It says low.
Oh, good. Now, is that the forehead kind, or you put it up your butt?
Forehead kind. I 98.2, y'all. I'm doing all right.
Now wait a second. First of all, why was that a thing? You know, thermometers, it was like either under the tongue or up your butt. Like those were the two choices. And then occasionally the armpit, right? Did anybody ever do that?
I don't remember an armpit. I just remember, that there was a threat about the butt. Every now and then, my mom would threaten. Well, do you want? I don't want to take it. I don't want to. Well, you want it up? Yeah, up the butt. My mother said your rectum.
Oh, of course she did. I definitely see Lorraine Shores saying rectum.
Your rectum. It's a rectal thermometer.
You know, I just seemed like a good start-off topic. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are so glad that you're here to join us for all the LGBTQ news and a lot of nonsense as well. Whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or on Periscope on Twitter, say hi. We talked about it the other day. Y'all, please share the broadcast. Yeah. Please take a moment and hit the share button underneath on whatever platform you're on, and invite other people to join us. As I said, we haven't grown in 7 months, and I feel like, we should.
I do too, and I think especially if you're in the South with a lot of like really Republican and bigot relatives, please share us, please.
Yeah, I just posted it on my Instagram. I did a poll on my Instagram this week because I thought, we do this show twice a week, and the people that know about it join us, and we're grateful all of you are here. But I said, how many of you have ever listened to an episode of the Del and Emerson Show? Y'all, I post every single episode in its entirety on my Instagram. And then 41% said yes, they've ever watched an episode.
Oh, that's
pretty cool. I said, are you even aware this show is a thing that Del and I live stream twice a week for an hour? And 49% said, what? That's what I put in the no vote. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be better about reminding people we're doing this.
I didn't remind today on social media. I didn't remind at all. So I apologize. But I did. I mean, this is always up there. Like it says going live. It says, but what's really sad about that, Emerson, is that 70% of all Republicans feel like the election was rigged. More Republicans feel like the election was rigged than have ever known that we have a show that are followers of yours on Instagram. I love numbers. I love numbers.
I know, y'all, am I being honest about David, look at David said over on the YouTube. I forwarded your email repeatedly to many people. We are grateful. And y'all, we're not complaining. We just, I spend a good 20 hours a week trying to find these stories and make them make sense and share in a fun way. And so the more people we can find, I guess it's really just about my personal validation. Let's be honest.
And I spend about 30 minutes on Tuesday morning and about 30 minutes on Friday reading them over, and then I come here for an hour. I mean, it is a lot of work, y'all, for me.
But in sharing the unvarnished truth of my ongoing mental health, I don't know about y'all. Today's a shitty day for me. I'm just in that press conference yesterday with those lawyers like lying and blowing smoke up Trump's ass that leads to there are legitimately people who think the election is being stolen based on no facts, based on people saying it is being stolen. Lindsey Graham over in Georgia trying to get ballots turned out, every court case being completely denied, and that there are people so separated from any truth in news reporting that they honestly believe it. I don't mean the grifters, the ones whose brands it's helpful for like democracy to fall apart because it helps them sell books. I mean, legitimate, actual Americans, based on how they're receiving information, believe that to be true.
I went to one of my cousin's Facebook today, and he legitimately feels that the election has been stolen. Yet when Democrats complained at all last time in 2016, we were just, oh, just accept it. You lost. Come on. It's just incredibly stupid. It makes me not think you're smart. That's what it really does. It makes me think, wow, you're not very smart.
And there's a difference too, right? Because last time we were talking about how Russia cyber disinformation campaigns influenced the election, by getting disinformation in front of people. That is not the same as saying an election is stolen based on like fake people voting, dead people voting, nonsense signatures, like making things up because of the result. Anyway, but the point being, I'm just feeling today a little bit like if the country is like a wagon rolling down a hill for the last 4 years, 30 years since the moral majority, the wheels have been shaky. And this period right here feels like that dip at the bottom, like, oh, we're about to level out, right? We're going to get a reasonable president in office, but we're hitting that divot at the bottom where sometimes you get thrown out of the wagon. Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but I think it's also, it's for me, it's twofold. It's also, I think it really has to do with these numbers. I mean, we're here in Los Angeles County. Yesterday, there were 5,000 new cases. And I got to tell you, I mean, I go out now with N95 and with another mask and with, the face shield on. The only time I don't is when I'm hiking with Beverly and or my friend Ed hike with me. And I keep my mask on these days for everybody though. And it's just I think we thought, oh, yes, a vaccine is coming, but it's all getting better. We've learned to acclimate. We've learned to kind of deal with this. We've learned to navigate it. And then all of a sudden, bam, Thanksgiving's coming and it is fucked up. I mean,
and also, oh wait, the comment jumped.
Yes, we just heard the news that Donald Trump Jr. has COVID, and I sent him a tweet, y'all. I said I would pray for you, but I'm an atheist. He's
not getting my thoughts or my prayers because he's going to get that same super medication treatment things that Trump got, that Ben Carson got. I just read earlier today. Yeah, that he like nearly died.
Almost died. Ben Carson almost died. And I'm wondering, will it? I mean, Herman Cain did die, and that didn't stop the rallies. I mean, it's just like there's nothing that's going to stop it till we get this vaccine with this administration until they get out of there. I mean, we're going to get to a story in a second, and I did a little more research on that with the Kylie McEnany story, and I have some numbers. I like the numbers, so it's crazy.
And and I did be like, great. When we get there, that's
dismissive. Y'all think it's polite? It's dismissive. It would never say, yeah, sure.
Because I'm gonna tell you about now what I'm gonna tell you about in a minute. And also, you're right. That was not dismissive. I was reading this big old comment that Mitchell shared while you were talking. But I'm trying to be sensitive because I was told recently that I've alienated some people in my life because I'm patronizing and play devil's advocate a little too much. So I'm trying to be sensitive about not being dismissive. So I apologize, Del Shore.
Oh, stop. We are way beyond that. There's absolutely no way. First of all, I love you too much to ever dismiss you from my life, and you're too valuable to me. So,
like, some people ask sometimes, how you and I met and all this stuff, and I say, and my joking version of the story is to say, I just made myself indispensable. So whether he likes it or not, he can't get rid of me now. I don't have to be nice anymore.
I've already made a commitment that I am retiring when Emerson quits. He said, I don't want to work with you anymore, Del Shores. Okay, I'm done.
But I keep saying to people, I said, look, I'm 6 months away from moving to Palm Springs and being a barista.
A barista?
Yeah, I love Starbucks. Just
I know you love Starbucks, but you like drinking Starbucks. You know what? If I had, okay, let's just talk. If you had any job at all that you didn't have to worry about COVID, besides what we do, if you had to say, okay, I'm going to do something else, what would it be?
Okay, I'll give you the real ones first. No, I'll give you and then I'll give you the. No, I really do. I mean, I would be a barista. You know, I do enjoy, as much as I don't seem like it. I want everyone I meet to be amazing. I do like meeting new people. It's just too many people turn out to not be. But the real answer is I'd probably have been a therapist or a teacher.
Yeah. That's I'd
have to be a life coach. I couldn't be a therapist because that. And how does that make you feel? No. I want to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Which is like life coaching.
Yeah, that's more life coaching therapist.
All right. Well, what we do here is the LGBTQ news and nonsense. And so we're going to get on to that, and we'll get back to some of these other.
Are you not going to talk about Dash and Lily? I watched 2 episodes just so I
know, but now we're at 11 minutes into the show, and the next story is at 4:08, and so maybe I can fit it in with the Christmas ornament story at the end if we get through everything faster.
Okay, because I had to watch it.
You didn't have to. That's why I put my name by it.
It was cute. It was very cute.
Okay, fuck it. Let's talk about it now. I will tell y'all, in the holiday festive and like still trying to watch stuff that makes you feel good, we watched Dash and Lily the other night, and we watched all 8 episodes without stopping. The entire season in one sitting. If y'all don't know, short version, it's a new series on Netflix, a Christmas-based series that's about this girl who writes a journal and leaves it in a bookstore, and a boy finds it, and they start flirting back and forth and like giving each other tasks through this journal. He hates Christmas, she loves it, and madness and insanity ensue. But I loved it.
I loved her. Wasn't she in that other series? There was another.
I don't know her from something else.
Oh, I love. I mean,
I'm sure she has.
Yeah, I just think she's brilliant.
And what I love too is that it was like, there's aspects of it that are very Christmassy cute, like things are easy, but there's a lot of really authentic human difficulty. Like, they're not perfect people. It's not a perfect Christmas. She is a mixed race family, Japanese and white father. She's got a gay brother who has a Puerto Rican boyfriend. So we see an interracial gay couple that's not white.
They're always having sex, and she's always walking in on them, which is fun.
But like the gay brother, he's like a great brother. He's also annoying. He's whiny. He's not a perfect person, but you love them. It's like they're imperfectly wonderful. And I just found the whole thing so like charming and fun. And looking at like at this very thing, talking about like the perfection we create in our mind about someone else and how it's impossible to ever live up to that. I just
I loved the childhood aspect of it, where you actually that bracelet.
Did you see the friendship bracelet scene? Did you get to that one? Okay, y'all, I'm not really ruining anything, but there's a flashback sequence where you see this girl who's a bit of an oddball, and she gives out friendship bracelets to everybody at Christmas, and you can see it coming. The other little kid's gonna laugh at her, but when they finally did, when I tell you that I sobbed on my sofa. I don't know, it's just where I'm at in the world, but just it got me thinking about it, and it's relevant to our show is why I wanted to talk about it. How many of us as LGBTQ people or artists or whatever were the little weird kids, but we didn't know we were weird. We didn't know there was something wrong until someone else said it. And I think about that for all of our youth, and unfortunately it happens younger and younger. You're not a teenager, it is often as a kid where the first time you realize what you like is not normal, or you're interested in something that's not what other kids are interested in. And I don't know, I'm in a fragile place, I guess. But my heart broke for all the little queer kids, all the little weirdos that aren't LGBTQ. That day when you experience shame for the first time because of like some part of who you are, And I just saw it coming, and I was like,
the end of that picking them up was just heartbreaking.
And then you see her as an adult still dealing with the trauma of that, and I think that's so common for so many of us. That we build defense mechanisms. My sarcasm and snark is protecting that like empathetic little boy who like could tell what people were feeling in a room. We all do so many things to then keep that little kid from getting hurt again. And it's just beautiful.
It's where my line waddle butt. That's what the other kids used to call me. I wish they could see my ass today. I mean, I remember the day that Bobby Bondurant, wherever you are, Bobby Bondurant, who I had a little crush on, he said, "Oh, look at Waddlebutt walking up the stairs."
Yes. And so if you're in the mood but it is really feel good for the most part, and a lovely thing about family and friendship and relationship. And so check it out. It's a hot recommendation.
Now we're way over. Okay.
It's all right. It doesn't matter. It's our show.
It's Friday.
But getting on to the LGBTQ news and nonsense. This week was Transgender Awareness Week, and today is Trans Day of Remembrance. And on screen, you see the names of some of the 37 trans Americans that have been violently killed this year. At least 350 have been around the world. And so this day, for those of us as allies to the trans community, to lift them up, to support the community as they mourn so many losses. And it's about remembering to fight all of the systems that damage and inhibit trans people from flourishing. Direct things, of course, that we talk about, like discrimination and violence, but also poverty and systemic racism that affects trans people of color, and stigma around sex work. So as a part of being aware, it's, celebrating the court victories like we had from Gavin Grimm and Amy Stevens, election victories and Danica Rome and Sarah McBride, but also fighting for the needs to be met at the most basic level. So in that, I just wanted to share two organizations to lift up on this topic. The first is a huge, exciting accomplishment that they've done. It's the Trans Lifeline, a grassroots hotline. They give micro grants for direct emotional and financial support to trans people in crisis. It is for the trans community, done by the trans community. So to see their work, to support them, visit translifeline.org. And then the other is a newer organization, the Okra Project, and it's created by Ian Field Stewart, and she is actually in Dash and Lily. It was interesting that in looking and realizing this, an organization I paid attention to, that this actress in the show was the creation of this, and she did it to make things like entertainment, nourishment, and self-care accessible to the most marginalized in the trans community. Founded in 2018, it started with a simple idea of getting Black trans chefs to go into Black trans homes and cook them a healthy and home-cooked meal. Well, obviously, that's on pause with COVID-19, so they're focusing on mutual aid funding. They introduced free therapy this year. They created the Okra Academy. It's a weekend training program, and expanded internationally with the International Grocery Fund that can send Black trans people anywhere in the world money who are experiencing food shortages. So amazing work. Visit the okraproject.com to support them. And a reminder of the most marginalized in our community, that we be present, that we be supportive, that we make space for them, and that we lift them up on a very difficult day today.
Absolutely. Well, and we talked about Kylie McEnany just for a second a while ago. She went on Fox and Friends this week, and I can't stand her. And she complaining about the Democratic governors who are imposing more strident restrictions on Thanksgiving. Now, this is somebody, let's just keep in mind, who had COVID. In response to the climbing COVID-19 numbers, when asked about the cases spiking and the governors putting out guidelines, she said a lot of the guidelines you see are Orwellian. The CDC has put out considerations. I think that's the American way. The American people now have to protect their health. We've dealt with COVID for many months. It's Orwellian in a place like Oregon to say if you gather in numbers more than 6, we might come to your house and arrest you and get you 30 days of jail time. That's not the American way. We don't lose our freedom. We make responsible health decisions as individuals. Thus, that's why you got COVID, Kylie, because you made such good health decisions. The American people are freedom-loving people, she added. We can make good decisions. We can wash our hands, wear masks, but she didn't. Socially distance, but we also can decide in our own personal domicile, our own home, whether we can have family members present at any given time. That is the American way. That is freedom. Wine, 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 wine. I did some research today. In our Senate, 7 senators have tested positive for COVID, all Republicans, no Democrats. In the House, 16 Republicans have tested positive for COVID, 9 Democrats, 150 aides in Congress, 150 aides. I'm not counting the Secret Service people, 41 people. And if you want to count Donald Trump, add 42 now in the Trump organization, White House, and campaign. 41. So yeah, And it's not partisan. Yes, it is kind of partisan because they made it partisan. They made it partisan, and we're doing better.
Well, and the irony of that too was like, Kayleigh McEnany doesn't know what Orwellian means. The whole point of 1984 was all about like doublespeak, which is like literally about obscuring the truth through different words and all sorts of euphemisms. I mean, it's like what she does on a daily basis.
Exactly.
From that podium is what Orwell was talking about. Not these governors and mayors having to make incredibly difficult decisions. We're going to a curfew in Los Angeles starting Saturday night. Like, none of our leaders want to do this. They all know our economies are harder to recover after doing these kinds of things. So nobody wants this. And if we all could do what Kayleigh said and be responsible, we wouldn't have to.
And she was mean to Caitlin Collins today on CNN. She's just such an asshole. She is such, I nominate her for worst Christian of the year. Worst Christian of the year.
There is stiff competition. Yeah, okay, and then just real quick, but we talked a lot about elections, and I wanted to share just a few quick fun things that are the winning of our new LGBTQ people arriving in Congress. And so right here, this is Richie Torres from New York. He said, Mr. Torres goes to Washington, arriving
Hello,
at
everyone.
the Capitol.
Congressman-elect Richie Torres from the Boogie Down Bronx. I never thought in my wildest dreams as a person of color that I would go from public housing in the Bronx to the People's House in Washington, D.C. I am fired up, and I'm looking forward to causing good trouble.
And
love him.
It's just remembering to celebrate our victories, like that we don't want to always be stuck in. And then Mondaire Jones, the other one from New York, posted this stunning, I hope this like lives in his life forever, this gorgeous photo, just saying it's really happening. Like thinking about these men arriving to represent their constituents and represent our communities. And it's just super exciting. And we are making seats at the table. We've got a bunch of people in consideration. Pete Buttigieg will likely end up in this administration somewhere. Dr. Rachel Levine, the Pennsylvania Secretary of Health we've talked about, the trans woman that had people talking shit about her, she's a possibility for Surgeon General. Karine Jean-Pierre, the campaign chief of staff for Kamala Harris, is a possibility for press secretary. So is Simone Sanders. There's a bunch of people we love, but just members of our community are going to have places in this administration. And I just wanted to remind us, we have things to celebrate in the midst of the nonsense.
And Dolly Parton for everything good and beautiful in the world. We talked about her last week. She gave $1 million to set up the Dolly Parton COVID-19 Research Fund at Nashville's Vanderbilt University Medical Center that contributed to Moderna's new vaccine, which study suggests 94.5 effective at preventing the virus. Well, in an appearance on BBC's One Show this week, Dolly explained, I heard about the vaccine yesterday and I didn't realize that it was part of the program that I was part of. So I feel very honored and proud. Actually, when the pandemic started many months ago, I felt led to some money. I felt led to put some money into a program at Vanderbilt Hospital. I just love it. It's like that we all bring the Lord, I just felt called. Dolly felt called to give $1 million. It's a wonderful hospital. It's been good to me and my family over the years. So she gave back and she made the donation. So they named the fund after her and they used it to raise more money, being demure about her own importance in it. She said, I'm sure many, many millions of dollars came from many other people, went into that, but I just felt so proud to have a part, that little seed money. This cracks me up. That little seed money that will hopefully grow into something great and help to heal this world. Lord knows we need it. I just love her so much. It's like, how much do you need? $1 million? Let me just give you that little seed money. Here you go.
I know, and you know what we can all do to support her is we can all watch Dolly's Christmas on the Square that premieres on Sunday on Netflix.
Okay, I'll do it.
Her Christmas musical movie.
Look, there's always something. It's feel good. It always makes you feel good when Dolly.
Yes,
Dolly does.
Like Debbie Allen directed it, but our good friend Marilyn Haskell is in it. And so Christmas on the Square, yes, Dolly Christmas on Sunday. If Dolly's involved, your heart's gonna feel good at the end of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip this next one. Go to the pastor.
Well, we're catching up. Okay. Well, there's another COVID pastor, y'all. E.W. Jackson. He's a failed Republican Senate candidate and Christian pastor with a long history of bigotry. Last year, he complained about Pete and Chasten Buttigieg on-stage kissing, saying, "A normal man is disgusted by the idea of two men kissing each other on the mouth. People can try to be politically correct all they want, but a normal man is disgusted by it because it is not what God made us for. I don't want a theocracy, but I guarantee you they want a homoocracy."
I kind of do. Now that
I do. I want a homoocracy, y'all.
You
bring me out. Woo! Let's do it. Let's have
socialism and communism. I want a homoocracy.
Who's in? Who's in with us on the homoocracy? So now in a sermon in March, he declared, "I'm not going to get the coronavirus." Okay. I'm not going to give. I'm just saying there's a little foreshadowing about to happen here. I'm not going to give anybody the coronavirus because I can't get it because I've been talked to God about it. He and Pat Robertson, that's coming up too. He referred to Psalm 91, which says in parts, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Surely he will save you from the deadly pestilence." He did say Christians can get coronavirus, but added, "But here's what I'm saying. You don't have to. If you know how to believe God, and you don't have to. You don't have to. Hallelujah. And if you don't have to, then don't."
There you go.
Well, he did. He did. In Facebook live sermon earlier this week. Why is this humorous to me? He's sick with the COVID. Jackson said that both he and his wife have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. In a phone call interview with Newsweek, he explained it with one of the most creative excuses yet, saying, "I'll tell you exactly what I believe really happened to me. The Bible says we're supposed to rest one day of the week, and I've been working 7 days a week probably for, I don't know, who knows how long. So while I'm confessing that I don't have it, I'm not going to get it. I'm wearing myself off."
Okay. I'm impressed with that excuse, but it's a little bit like when you go for a job interview and they say, "Tell us about one of your negative qualities." And you say, "I'm just such a perfectionist. I just want everything I do to be exactly right." It's like that. I was working so hard for Jesus that I forgot to take the time off for Jesus, and that's why I got the corona.
My corona.
My. Leanne wants a big old homo hoedown. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
In our homoocracy.
Yeah.
Rob said, "I will vote for Dylan Emerson for the new LGBT leadership." I don't want a job. I just want to go to the inauguration. When we install Elton John as the first premier of the homoocracy. I just want a ticket. I don't want to have to do that work.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to have to put out an e-blast.
I don't.
Constant contact.
I don't want to have to rally the base and whip the votes for whatever it is we're deciding. Y'all, we have reached the center point of the show. And so, as always, if you are sitting on a pile of cash and you want to give us $1, $5, $10, $50, $1,000, you are welcome to send us a tip on Venmo to @EmersonCollins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions@gmail.com. It's not required. It's not obligated. It's not expected. A little is expected. It doesn't. Thank you to Michael Shane, who's already tipped his hat for us today.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Yeah.
But the rest of you, it's okay. As we've talked about at the beginning of the show, if you can't contribute, that is just fine. But you know what you can do that costs nothing? Share the show.
Share. It's fun to share. Oh,
speaking of homoocracy, Cher would certainly be our Postmaster General.
Yeah.
She wanted to work at that post office in Malibu. We could let her run the post office.
I think I would have volunteered if they said, well, Cher's here. Cher's heading this up. I go, oh, I'm in.
I'm on the way. I want to work a postal route. We can figure out how to make those short shorts be cute. The homoocracy.
Well, I mean, you'd probably wear a Speedo.
Well, of course I would. You know, with whatever the new flag of the homoocracy was, you know, be patriotic.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. People
and
would
right
be
now,
like this. They'd go, can I have my mail?
Right. And lately, the soundtrack, you know what I've been loving? Kylie Minogue's new disco album is like being woven in with the holiday music. So Kylie is a theme song for this holiday season for me. If you haven't listened to it, it is such a feel-good album. It's just
I love her. I used to when I was married many moons ago. It's going to be the anniversary of that departure is coming up on the 21st. By the way, I've been single for all these years, but I remember we'd go out and we'd put Kylie on, and boy, she'd just get you in the mood. You know, I just loved Kylie. Kylie, what is she? 83 now? 83 or 84? I mean, I'm 60. I'm going to be 63 in about a few days. I think she's older than me.
I think in a homoocracy, talking about people's ages will be considered against the law. Hold on, I'm finding out for you. 52.
50? Oh no, that she must have started when she was 14 then.
Probably.
And she has that sister Danny who had a few hits too.
Absolutely.
Danny Minogue.
Well,
yeah,
I enjoy it.
Well, I saw her perform live in Sydney Mardi Gras one year.
There's a song that I love that says, where does the DJ go when the party's over? And I keep singing it, you know, because our neighbor's a big DJ. And of course he can't work because of lockdown. But I just keep singing the song at his door. I don't think he finds it as funny as I do.
I'd probably not. It's probably like, well, I'm here. I'm here. Stop.
Here. I know like where the rest DJ goes. All right, continuing the stories. I want to share a video with y'all because there is a creationist who is going viral for a fascinating and bonkers explanation of why humans have a nasal bone and other primates don't. Jennifer Hall Revere is the educational content administrator for the nonprofit Answers in Genesis, which operates the Creation Museum in Kentucky. Now, they have a sister attraction that's the Ark Encounter. It's a full-size Noah's Ark built to the biblical specifications. The Answers in Genesis site says it gives biblical answers to questions regarding key issues such as creation, evolution, science, and the age of the earth. Now, before we continue, I want you all to hear this doctor share her theory about the nasal bone. All right, here we go.
So when you look at a human skull, which this is, right, if we look at it in its correct position, you see the human, right, the profile is very straight, but it's completely different in a primate, right? It is slanted. And so you could easily look, if we go back to that picture of the fossil,
back up to that one.
you can look at that and go, no question, it's a primate.
Makes sense, primate skull.
And we also can look at the nasal bone right here. God designed humans very specifically with this nasal bone because he knew because of sin we'd be wearing glasses and contacts, right? And so this helps hold our glasses. Primates have no need.
And that's the same way there.
Did you all catch that? Because of sin, we will be wearing glasses. And therefore, we need a nasal bone.
I've been thinking about this ever since I read this story this morning, Emerson. I was thinking, but what about? She's saying that animals cannot sin, which I take umbrage because I go to the zoo, or did when we could, and you know, a baboon's throwing shit at people, and you know, stealing a banana. That's sin. That is sin. Primate, they can sin. That penguin that we talked about that stole those lesbian penguins' egg, I feel that sin. So why don't they have this bone so that the glasses, and what about the contacts?
Well, also, if God knew that we were going to sin, so we needed a bone because sin was going to make our eyes go bad. By the way, mine continuously gets worse, so my sin is growing. Would he not have also seen that, a couple hundred years after the glasses, we'd have been contacts and maybe just have sped up that process instead of giving us a whole bone for sin glasses? Also, I bet that there is someone at a zoo somewhere that can tell you eye issues can happen to any creature with an eyeball, I believe. And I absolutely believe there's some monkey somewhere that doesn't see as well as the rest of the monkeys.
Well,
and we don't know because he can't see.
Remember Ruby, our dog, Emerson? Yeah. Ruby, she got the cloudy eyes. They get the cloudy eyes. There are so many holes in that story. Or cats are proof of evil. Oh, Danielle, you just alienated half of our audience.
But it's just bonkers listening to her because it sounds so real. Primate skulls are different than human skulls, and so we can tell this is a primate skull. Yes, absolutely. And the reason is because we have a nasal bone. Science, that makes sense, which we have because sin makes our eyesight go bad. So your granny with glaucoma, you need to ask her what she did in her life.
And let's go back to the fact that she is a doctor. A doctor. I mean, just let that, from the University of Phoenix? I mean,
Trump University.
Trump, she got her degree from.
David said his old birds have cataracts. See, I don't think that eye issues are that much a symbol of sin.
I need somebody that's watching.
You and I both wear glasses, so that does. Yeah, it does.
Well, yeah, it's every time you masturbate, a little kitten dies. That's according to my work.
Well, according to Danielle, that's not a bad thing.
Danielle's going, bring it on. Let's masturbate. Kill some cats.
But you just listen and listen and listen and woo, left turn into nonsense.
Oh my God. Okay.
I do want to go to the Ark encounter though. I'd love to walk on that Ark and just imagine those elephants and the cheetahs and the little mice all having different spaces and survive.
Well, I just want to know about the specifications that are in in Deuteronomy. I don't remember that the Ark was a certain. I don't remember those measurements that they got. Do you?
Oh no, yeah, they were very specific. It's weird.
Is it?
Yeah. Did you grow up hearing about the Creation Museum or the people who believed that before the flood, the air was so rich with moisture that there was no rain, and that explains why Methuselah lived to be 900 and whatnot, and how 500-year-old women were having babies, and it's because that moisture in the air, that it's once the flood happened and all the rains happened for 40 days and 40 nights, it changed the environment, and that's why we don't live as long as those people in the Bible that lived,
Well, I'm all for domed cities then and a lot of mist. I mean, why aren't people living longer in Palm Springs? They have all those mist machines.
I'm just gonna put a bunch of misters in my little apartment and make it real humid. Get a lot of humidifiers and live to 300.
Just put start a small fire and get the sprinklers going. Oh my God, we're being very, very silly today. All right. Well, there is more news about Pat Robertson. Pappy Robertson is back in the news. So in October, Pat Robertson, as you remember, was reported by me on this show. He prophesied that Donald Trump would win the election. And y'all, he's just having a hard time letting that go. So on the 700 Club, he said, in the name of Jesus, I bind the spirit of delusion that has come across our land. We will not surrender our nation. We will not give up this great country. And Satan, you cannot have it. In the name of Jesus. And I begin to pray. I believe God has heard. And I'm asking everybody in this audience to pray. It isn't over yet. And I do not think, again, he wants to turn this nation over to socialism and Bernie Sanders and AOC and those people are pure socialists and they want to take control over everything. And they want to run all the businesses. They want to run all the industry. They want to redo all the energy we got. They want to take away your cars. They want to stop people flying airplanes. I mean, it's crazy. It's what they have. We cannot allow that. So let us pray. And what I'm hearing, I still think Trump ultimately will win. And scene.
I mean, she's just real obsessed with like people in airplanes. I thought, what a fascinatingly specific thing to mention, Pappy.
Well, and you know what's really interesting about that? I bet you, I was thinking about all the things that he was saying they were going to take away. They want to take away our cars. They want to take away flying airplanes. I bet you that at some point when all that shit started happening, when they started flying in the air and cars happened, there were Christians who said, no, we can't have in the air. But now the socialists don't want us to have. I missed that one. I missed Bernie talking about airplanes. He said a lot, but I don't remember the airplanes.
Take over everything.
Maybe it was AOC. That was. Did you not? Did you love the way? Because I watched it and I loved it when he started stumbling. He was energy.
Like, sir. But also, it's people like this who have a rabid following and audience, and him saying it's not over is the reason there are people out there thinking it's not over.
I'm telling you, he looks like they just dug him up. I mean, he looks like he's really on.
He looks the way I feel.
COVID has aged Pappy Pat, and he already looked bad.
People have often said that I look younger than I am, and I have always said you should see the picture in my attic, like as a lovely little Dorian Gray reference. But I tell you that photo these days, it's just crusty and syphilitic, and it looks like Pat Robertson. My Dorian Gray.
I was going to say, Emerson, that picture's catching up.
Goodbye, good night. That's the end of our show. It was so nice being with you all. See, just for the record for everyone, I'm not the only one that's an asshole sometimes.
I had to say it. It came into my head.
I know. I will say that, like, we all experience this, right? As you get older, people when people go to guess your age, which don't ever do that. That's a no-win situation. The number starts creeping up, right? And I remember the first time people guessed a number with a 3 in front of it, I was like, and then I was like, who cares?
Well,
I'm still trying to be an actress, and those casting people care about that shit.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, we've got a sidetrack for this because they're right. Rudy's hair dye melting down his face.
I said he looked like a whore in church, just sweating right after she dyed her hair.
I know, and like, look, no judgment on the hair dye, because do what is in your heart to make you happy. But like, sir, you should know how it works a little better than that. You can't just applicate it.
He's and his son Andrew tested positive for COVID too, and he was at those press conferences. So all those people are now all those lawyers are now in quarantine. So that maybe that'll shut them up a little bit.
I mean, for the love, like the more of them that have to stay at home. And another sidetrack. Did you see Rachel Maddow, who right before election coverage had to quarantine at home? I don't know if you all saw. It's worth watching. She's such a brilliant reporter. She unfolds stories. She unfolds difficult information in a way that's really easy to digest if you're not following stuff really closely. The way she spells out information to lead you through a story is one of the most effective forms of communication, I think, on TV. And she's very to the point for the most part. And she gave a very vulnerable explanation last night of the story of her wife partner, Susan, being the one who had COVID-19, and the experience for her of having her great love, her partner, in the other room and wanting to support her and wanting to help her and not even being able to be with her, that I thought was really effective, crossing sort of the news person moment, right? They want to seem, as much as people think all the news is fake, most of them really want to communicate the details of stories in a way for you, the audience, to then decide how you feel about it or what you want your representatives to do in response to news. And she really tries to do that. I think it was probably very vulnerable for her to share that. And she did it to remind all of us in this moment where there's so much fatigue and we're staring down the barrel of going under lockdowns again, or curfews, or the difficult months in holidays where we want to be with people, and saying, you need to not think about I'm willing to risk it for myself. Will you risk it for the person you love and care about most in the world? And I thought that was a very smart argument and a very vulnerable argument, and just an amazing share from her about that.
It was indeed.
And then we've talked a lot about Georgia because, you know, it matters and we can't do anything if we don't win the Senate because they can block all the things. Well, Kelly Loeffler, her race is against the Reverend Raphael Warnock. This week, she went on to attempt to attack previous sermons. He's a reverend. We've talked that he's LGBT affirming as well in his church. She showed a small clip from a sermon where he said, America, nobody can serve God and the military. You can't serve God and money. You can't serve God and mammon at the same time. America, choose ye this day who you will serve. Choose ye this day. Well, Loeffler tweeted, I'm the daughter and granddaughter of veterans and proud to serve on the VA committee. This is despicable, disgusting, and wrong. You owe our active military and veterans who sacrificed so much for our country an immediate apology. Now, further in the clip, he goes on to talk about how politicians try to keep their power. Political parties lie to keep their power. And church folk, yeah, you too maneuver to keep your power. And Jesus says that's not power, that's paranoia. Because when you've got real power, you're not worrying about your place in the world. And also, you know, as well as I do, anybody that spent even one Sunday morning, even if it was just Easter or Christmas, knows that what he is referencing is no man can serve two masters.
That's right.
Like all of us, literally anybody who ever
He took it completely out of context. But when Trump, you know, says that people are losers that are military, they just completely ignore that. Well, you know, that he was joking or whatever the fuck they come up with. I just don't understand the cult. I just don't get it.
And it's just weird that, you know, it's supposed to be the Christian side and like you pretend that you don't know what the sermon is preaching about. It's bullshit. So my point is, this week, giving a little extra love, a little extra attention once again to Raphael Warnock. If you can volunteer time, they need people to make calls. And if you can donate funds, warnockforgeorgia.com. It's in the ticker at the bottom.
Hey, Emerson, Kennedy Knowles, who I think you met, she's heading up a big campaign to reach out to the youth in Georgia, the LGBT, and she's asked, I got to send it to you, but she's asked us to make videos to encourage the youth to register by December the 5th and to vote on January 5th. That's in our LGBT community. So I said I would do it, and I told her I thought you would as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of activity going on, which I love. I love what Stacey Abrams is doing. I mean, she is activating so many people to get out there and is so responsible for so many of these votes. So
yeah.
Is it me? Oh, it's me. I'm just rattling. Okay, so Barack Obama has published the first volume of his memoirs called A Promised Land. In it, he very frankly discusses the journey on LGBTQ people and issues. He wrote, I grew up in the 60s, a time when LGBTQ life was far less visible to those outside the community, so that my grandmother, Toot's sister, and one of my favorite relatives, Aunt Arlene, felt obliged to introduce her partner of 20 years as my close friend, Marge, whenever she visited. Oh, he also said, and like many teenage boys in those years, my friend and I sometimes threw around words like fag or gay at each other as casual put downs, callow attempts to fortify our masculinity and hide our insecurities. Once I got to college and became friends with fellow students and professors who were openly gay, though, I realized the overt discrimination and hate they were subjected to, as well as loneliness and self-doubt that the dominant culture imposed on them. I felt ashamed of my past behavior, and I learned to do better. He reflected later, alongside abortion, guns, and just about anything to do with race, the issues of LGBTQ rights and immigration had occupied center stage in America's culture wars for decades, in part because they raised the most basic questions in our democracy, namely, who do we consider a true member of the American family, deserving of the same rights, respect, and concern that we expect for ourselves? I believe in defining that family broadly. It includes gay people as well as straight, and it included immigrant families that had been put down roots and raised kids here, even if they hadn't come through the front door. How could I believe otherwise when some of the same arguments for their exclusion had so often been used to exclude those who looked like me? Obama's great aunt, Margaret Arlene Payne, died in 2014 at the age of 87, with her obituary noting that she is survived by her family and friend Marjorie Duffy.
I love that. And I love that he shared his progress, his journey, right? Because when we talk about marginalized issues, it's the same for us. Like as a white man, me talking about having said transphobic things or laughed at racist things in my past, if we can be honest about our journeys, we can help other people along with it. I think it's so powerful for him to talk about how he perceived or used that language younger, and then understanding later the impact of it, right? Like we can all do that. And if we can all open about our journeys, it's easier to make progress because we're not sitting in defensive while we do the work, you know?
And let's not forget, I mean, he was the first time he won, he was not on board with gay marriage. It was civil unions. He was supporting civil unions. I remember that town hall on Logo, and Hillary Clinton as well. But here's the evolution. We saw all the evolution from childhood with him, and it continued even into his presidency. And Joe Biden had a lot to do with that. So.
Yeah. And I think it's great to see leaders, you know, people that are respected, talking about that journey. We can only make progress on these conversations if we own where we've been while we work to get to better places. And so I love that. I just thought it was really powerful.
Great.
And then in a fun thing celebrating LGBTQ family, I'm gonna play this commercial while I talk. Pantene has partnered with Family Equality for a new campaign this month. Make her be quiet so you can see it. That to benefit the important work of family equality, and to participate, all you have to do is post a photo of your family on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag beautifully LGBTQ. And for every photo posted, Pantene will donate $1 up to $100,000 to Family Equality, an important work they do to support families, LGBTQ families, support groups, events, fighting for legislation and legal rights. And Anne Libertine, the organization's director of communications, said, for many members of the LGBTQ plus community, hair is self-expression. Short or long, curly or straight, maybe even bright pink or purple, hair provides a channel to explore and express identity. In short, hair is pride. So all you have to do to participate is post a photo of your family on Twitter or Instagram and use hashtag beautifully LGBTQ.
Awesome. Well, in lighter news, we have the Sexiest Man Alive announced today, and it is 2020 actor Michael B. Jordan. And making the cut of the list is Steve Kornacki, thanks to election week lusting, and multiple Emmy winner Dan Levy. On Instagram, Levy admitted he oiled his legs up for the shoot, which features him doing things that he's been doing in quarantine, like taking out the trash, which I loved, had a million wine bottles, walking his dog, and baking. According to the Star, he's tried sourdough bread, banana bread, and various types of cookies, none of which came out the way he intended. And I got to tell you, I walk by Mr. Jordan's house every single morning that I hike. It's right next. And I'm like, yeah, I never have seen him though.
No. Well, I mean, it's, you know, there's no argument with that. You know, there've been some years where the person chosen seemed like it was a little bit like to promote a network TV show or something, but I don't know how you argue against Michael B. Jordan wanting to be one of the sexiest men on the planet.
I would say I would choose him over Blake Shelton. I would choose him over Matthew.
I have to say that that'd be tied. I'd need both. I might be willing to Eiffel Tower it for Michael B. Jordan and Matthew McConaughey at the same time. But I also, but it's funny, you know, I love the way Dan did this. We watched an interview with him talking about it, but it's interesting where you sort of, I feel like, can see what I think some gay men experience, like having a hard time with compliments. Like he couldn't take being sexy seriously, and you know, it's all like self-deprecating. I'm like, you are a wonderfully handsome man, brilliantly talented, who made a beautiful show, celebrated by our community and viewers literally all over the world. Like, I love the jokey joke, but also like, just own that. Own that sex.
You know what? I went to the website on out.com, and there was a comment from somebody. I had to respond. It said the only compliment I could give Dan Levy is he's not ugly. And I said, well, possibly you could say he's wildly talented as well. I mean, you know, it's just like, why does it have to be so vicious and nasty always?
It is funny, you know, it's like because it's like even in this moment, I'm not interested in sharing with you all who I don't find attractive, right? Like you can just lean the positive direction. You can just say, I find this person attractive. And it's weird when that's hard. You know, it's like, maybe you don't agree that someone some year is the sexiest person alive. And also we can joke about Blake Shelton because it's just funny. And he made jokes about it when it happened. Sitting next to Adam Levine, who I think was also probably people's sexiest man of the year once.
He was.
And he's sitting on a pile of money and a whole bunch of successful records. I think Blake Shelton's self-esteem is fine.
And I think Gwen Stefani is sitting on him occasionally.
I would think more than occasionally.
You know, no, you know, don't get me wrong. I did not mean to diss Mr. Shelton.
You didn't. But that's what I mean. There's a difference.
I love Blake Shelton. And Michael A. Shepherd, I love you so much. You're awfully sexy as well.
I mean, a tall drink of water.
I mean, that's a nice drink of water there. On my, I'm in isolation. I'm so sorry, Michael. I'm flirting with you on my show. I'm in isolation. I know you have a husband. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
At this point, lockdown flirting is just compliments. You know, okay. I've got a man at home that I desperately love, and I'm still putting the outline of my penis on Instagram because I need attention. Like,
I tell you what. You know what I love about Michael A. Shepherd? He is sexy to look at, but you know what I find sexy? I find talent sexy. And I've watched Michael Shepherd give crazy performances at the Celebration Theater. And I actually got to give him an ovation. I actually presented with Del Dickey an ovation award to him. And it was so thrilling to, you know, read the list. And I consider Michael a good friend and say, and the winner is Michael Shepherd. It was so crazy and great.
Yes. All right, I've got one little thing to wrap up. Trans Awareness Week and Trans Day of Remembrance that I think is just really lovely. This week, Sarah Kogod shared the announcement of the Rainbow Sheep Ornament Project with the goal of making the holiday brighter for trans people. The project will send any trans person a free, personalized Christmas tree ornament to help them start rebuilding sentimental mementos that don't use their dead name. I loved that. The group explained, if you're sentimental about the holidays, you likely have years of personalized ornaments that you've collected over time, some dating back to childhood. But something that brings one person good memories could be painful to someone else. Many trans people who have changed their name choose to dissociate from the name they were given at birth as a necessary way to deal and heal from trauma. So I want to share with you the website, because if you know a trans person who wants one, they can go to rainbowsheep.com. And if you want to donate, as I am doing, you can donate $40 to cover shipping, $15 to cover an ornament, $20 covers retail and shipping, and for $25, it covers all of it, plus a $7 donation to Trans Lifeline that we talked at the top of the show about. And I just love that. I thought the holidays are so hard for people in our community so many times. And this is a very specific, special way to support and celebrate trans people at the holidays. And I just love that. So I'm going to do one. I hope so, because I love Christmas. Rainbowsheep.com, and you can go.
I'm going to do one. I'm going to do one right now. I commit to do one right after we hang up.
So
hang up. We're not hanging up. I don't know why
we're going to hang up. Thank you for calling. I do want to say a huge thank you to Leanne Noble, Patrick Nunn, and Bob Bielenberg, who have also contributed during the course of the show. If you want to send us a tip one more time, Venmo at Emerson Collins or on PayPal to beardcollinsshortsproductions@gmail.com. Oh, and our friend Danielle said, I have the trailer Dale gave me that has sentimental value. See?
You might get another Christmas ornament, Danielle. I'm just saying.
I love that. Well, everybody, do you have fun weekend things as we like hunker
You know what?
down
I'm doing this thing that our good friend Debbie Holiday is stopping by. We're going to do a mask, social distance, and then I have this nice big table, and I'm cooking some salmon, and we're going to have a meal, and way away from each other, but at least we're going to be seeing each other very safely.
Yep. And y'all remember, I talk about it a lot because it's important for all of us to consider. Take care of your mental health. Be aware of how you're feeling. If it gets to where it is more than you can personally handle, reach out to somebody, reach out to a medical professional. We have this next season could be even harder for a lot of people. And if you're good, make sure you check in and take care of the people around you. I will.
You will. I'll check. You doing okay?
That's exactly right. Y'all really ask and make sure people really tell you. We could get over, share, remove the stigma. Feel free. And y'all have a lovely weekend. Send us a message.
Yes, do. I love you.